War was always here. Before man, war waited for him. The ultimate trade awaiting its ultimate practitioner, Cormac McCarthy, Blood Meridian, or the Evening Redness in the West. On this week's episode of
What the
Cartoon Buffoons, I'm your host Wyatt, and who is here with me today, as always?
Hello, everyone. I'm Morgan. I'm the new scary godmother. Just got hired yesterday.
Yeah. And we are here to talk about Party Wagon, a TV movie / pilot that neither of us have ever seen, I think.
And if you say you've seen it, fuck you. You're lying to me.
I do not believe you. So I was going through a big list of shows and specials and everything that were created by Cartoon Network Studios, and this was one. And the only other time I remember hearing about this, even though this came out when I was watching Cartoon Network, somehow it completely slipped by, was because there is a small cameo of the main character in the finale of OKKO, because, in the Cartoon Network crossover episode, they had a ton of, background cameos and things like that, but Party Wagon wasn't one of them. And there's a quick,
the main guy's in the background.
Yeah, there's a quick second cameo in the final episode where there's some Class of 3000 or whatever. There's just some of the shows that they missed get quick cameos, and Party Wagon is one of them. And that's my only context for Party Wagon. So
I think we're truly going to have known every single reference in OKKO by the end of this, and I hope so. I want to be able to go toe to toe with Ian on the obscure cartoon information he has. Yeah. So shout out to that.
So Party Wagon, if people are unaware, is a feature-length pilot created by Craig Bartlett, the creator of Hey Arnold. Now, this gives us a unique opportunity. We get to talk about, for at least a little bit, a cartoon that's not on Cartoon Network. Ignore the Korra episode that we did. But
that's not real. You hallucinated that, dude. You should go see a doctor. You should go see a doctor.
That wasn't real. So, Hey Arnold, that's a show I remember fondly and have watched many times throughout my life. Same. I have the complete set, that was released recently by Shout Factory.
Really?
It's a
Damn, leave your door unlocked.
I know. All right, come on over.
I'm going to rock you.
But it's a great show. It's absolutely, I love it. Classic. Big thumbs up. How do you feel about Hey Arnold, and then how do you feel about this? How does this compare, or how does it contrast from that?
So Hey Arnold's one of my all-time favorite cartoons. I rewatch it a lot. I think it is one of the rare perfect blendings of super down-to-earth normal cartoon stuff, while also being really goofy. I just say across the board, Craig Bartlett's art style, it feels like he's taken cartoon caricatures of people, but made them feel like real. I don't know how to put it there. It feels like he's drawing how people actually look in real life, but it's obviously not. I feel like everyone on Harold, I've seen someone that looks like that in real life, even though it's impossible given the head shapes. And I think that's one of the most interesting things about it, because the show feels like a cartoon version of New York, but it's still definitely New York. So, compared to this, I think this is more screwball than Hey Arnold, which can get a little bit screwball.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The vibe's a lot differenter than I thought it would be. I thought this was going to be way more in line with Hey Arnold than it was. And it wasn't, which I thought was actually a pleasant surprise. Yeah.
This show, visually, there is some it does look like his art style.
There's some DNA.
I would say only Randall himself, the main character, he has a very cartoony looking face. And then everybody else has kind of they're all cartoony, I guess. You have Bumpy and Sue that are ornery Sue that have like the dot eyes, which I always appreciate in cartoons.
Yeah,
but like everybody else, they have like realistic eye shapes, relatively so, and like face shapes and everything. Whereas he's like a wide-eyed kid, so of course he has like big circle eyes. But yeah, like I agree with you where in some ways it is even more down to earth than Hey Arnold because it is about the Oregon Trail, but in some ways it's like more
even
wacky.
goofier,
yeah, because it's, you know, kind of a parody or a joke on that time period. You know, there's a lot of things that I was like really surprised by in this, I would say. In fact, like the caravan that they're like following along, the fact that it's like run by like a
super religious,
like
guy.
a super Christian guy that's like, they really don't like mask that. And then similarly with like Ornery Sue being she's like the kind of stereotypical like Catholic wife / daughter, you know, like literally speaking in like early modern
Shakespearean
English.
ritual. Yeah.
So, and that's a great character.
I kind of need her, yo. Like on the low.
Yeah,
She's like the first goth girl when you really think about it.
Absolutely. But yeah, I was surprised by like some of the cast on it, like Sean Astin, you know, who I know does some good amount of voice acting. You know, he was Hercules in Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that, you know, like, so he's been around. And he's Randall, and then like Pamela Hayden, who is Millhouse as Sublimity Jill. Like that.
Carolyn Lawrence is also in it, which is like, it's weird not seeing her as Cindy or Sandy in something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
I'll say that her being Ornery Sue and like talking in like this like high prose / like very biblical sort of talking, it was giving me big moral oral vibes because she's
yes, it does.
In that, even though like he is a very lighthearted character despite all the nightmarish shit that happens to him, the like the just hearing that like, voice plus the like Christian overtones, it gave me, you know, moral oral flashbacks.
I think this is also like, you talked about like the content, like House of Prodigy. They talked about like how there's like Christians and stuff like that. I think across the board, a lot of the content in this felt weird for a pilot of a kid show. Not like in that traditional, whoa, you could put this, like not none of that bullshit. Like you could put this in a kid show, but more so like, I don't know, man. This is a weird pitch to make in 2004.
Yeah.
For a kids cartoon, like none of the kids, like there's only 2 characters that are kids and they're not that important. It's all adults and a 16-year-old, I guess. Like there's a lot of guns and like they want to get rich quick and like I'm like, I don't like, I enjoyed this. Let me just put that out forward. But this is an uphill fucking pitch.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I'm like, I completely understand why this was never picked up. I'm glad we got what we did. I do wish there was a little bit more because it does end on a bit of a cliffhanger. I was kind of hoping it would end coming full circle and just sort of be a complete piece in and of itself. But I do feel like, you know, it's not such a cliffhanger, like literally a cliffhanger, that you can't just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, like it has like that that they keep living life style cliffhanger. We're like, yeah, but the story's pretty much wrapped. They did the whole treasure thing in this one instance, you know? So yeah, I agree. I think actually this might work better as a movie, personally.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they really didn't have too much to go. Like there wasn't really any like big character or plot things that needed to be shown after this point. The only thing that I could think of was that there was a subplot about like one of the kids like hiding their gender, and they were probably setting up something about them.
Yeah, for a trans child episode.
Yeah. Well, I did like that when they're like, well, I kind of like being, you know, dressed as a boy now at this point. Like I'm more comfortable that way. And I was like, there you go.
Oh,
Craig
wow.
Bartlett's a little bit woke.
It's us on a YouTube thumbnail. The Oregon Trail goes woke, just like.
But yeah, that was something I could see, like being resolved whatever way, and that was kind of like, it was just like a weird thing that was touched on like at one point in the story and then never really came up again.
Yeah, they're trying to really set up their stuff for the full show.
Yeah.
I think, I gotta say, I'm like really into the character design here, because like you did say it looks like Heron a little bit, and it does. But there is like a old illustration quality to some of them.
Yeah.
Specifically the way the hats are drawn on their head and like how the hair looks,
Yeah.
like in that very blobby kind of sense that you would see on like really old like cowboy era paintings and stuff like that, or like cartoons.
We should talk about this. I fucking love this era of America. For I'm not saying like Western expansion is good, by the way. Just want to say that.
Wait.
Yeah. Just, this is such a fascinating part of American history, like when people started leaving the East Coast and started going to the West Coast, and for a lot of different reasons, all the conflict that came about, the changes in culture and everything that came about, that we're still feeling today, and like the cultural uprising. I mean, this specifically, the Oregon Trail, was because Mormons were being persecuted. And
Rightfully so.
Yeah, well, right, yeah.
If you're Mormon, I'm so sorry. Not really, but I am sorry. Go ahead, Wyatt. Sorry.
Yeah. But so that's why they all moved to Utah, and that's why there's like a huge Mormon population in Utah, and it's sort of like their Mecca, is in Utah, which is like the lamest place to, but whatever.
It feels right. It feels right that the Mormon
it
Mecca is in Utah
for them. So I was assuming that the like other traveling band of like Christians, like that's what they were. They didn't like specifically mention it. They just sort of like leaned on the idea of like, well, pioneers, they were Christian. They didn't, but it was specifically Mormons. The Oregon Trail's like other name is the Mormon Trail. So that's like a fascinating bit of context. And Mormonism is a religion that rose in the 1800s. It's very like set in that time period. Some would say it's still sort of,
it's
that
fucking racist, school. Man. It's really fucking weird and racist. But I think like, I agree. I think this thing, the most surprising thing about this is that there's only one joke about natives. And it's pretty tame. Yeah,
that's one thing I was afraid of the entire time. Was like Asian
like
people, black people, and natives. I was like, oh god. But thankfully, we had like a prominent character who was black right from the start.
And his only joke is that like he's just a what's it called? He's a mechanic. That's his whole thing. So like it's nothing like unkosher, which I guess it is the hair on a guy. We should expect that it probably won't be.
But like, still, like even people that mean well can do racist shit, in this time period, especially just because it was okay before, so it must be okay now. That I've seen that with a lot of things. So I was on the lookout for that. There thankfully wasn't anything bad. There might have been if the show continued, but we don't have to worry about that. I would say
absolutely. It didn't happen. So
yeah, it did not happen. But that is another thing, is that like not only is this pretty much a fully adult cast, but it's like, I don't know, in the realm of children's television and in the realm of like 1800s fiction, just the concept that they do have a black guy on the party wagon, and he's like a cool guy, respected member. They, it's not part of his backstory that he was a freed slave or something. Like he's just a guy that's on them and is like a metal worker. Is like pretty cool. Like that's a cool piece of characterization.
There's some hints,
go ahead.
There's some hints that it could have been the case. Like, hey, how did you guys get here? Oh, me and Romeo just ran off. Like they don't want to say any details, and I think that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I do think it's neat that like they have him on the show, and he is like a part of the like movie, and like it has some good jokes too. I think everyone like has a good interplay.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that works for this movie so well, that everyone works really well together.
And shout out to Scott Lawrence, who I found out last night by looking through IMDb is the current voice match for
James Earl Jones, right?
Yeah, James Earl Jones for Darth Vader. I was like, oh shit.
I only knew this because he's like in a lot of, and I don't have a better way to say this, black movies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I knew that. But yeah, it's fucking cool that he's like James Earl Jones standing. That's sick. It's cool that we have that, you know?
Yeah. Mm. And
Rip James Earl Jones. Rip James Earl Jones.
Yeah, really and Craig Bartlett himself is Romeo Jones, who is his companion, Lewis,
it's a little gay.
the guy voiced by Star. Yeah, it is a little gay. that might also be like the fact that he is always like charming women, but is never like actively pursuing
with the women. He's always with his really hot, shirtless all the time best friend.
Yeah,
I'm like, hold on, Craig. Are these guys gay?
Yeah. But yeah, just like really cool cast, you know, of course, Sublimity Jill, you know, she's sort of the like crush that the main character has. I do like that she is sort of always at arm's length from him because she's like super cool and has guns and is like feisty and all that stuff, you know, perfect for a weenie little cuckboy like Randall. But you know, I like that scene at the end where they're like trapped in the cave, and she reveals that she's 27. He's like, "Whoa, hold on!" Like the first time that he realizes that there's like a huge age gap between them. So it's like, which is like, you know, obviously in the fucking 1800s, it wasn't that big of a deal, but it is, you know, just like it was a very.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird. Like I do want to say, she is drawn, dude. Mm-hmm. I like she's like 80s sexy bombshell drawn in the shape she has on her sometimes. So it made me uncomfortable when I first saw her. I was like, damn, she got a fat ass. What is going on?
It's funny how these guys are all the fit as hell, you know, and she's
everyone's like a little sexy. It's weird.
Yeah, she's sexy. Again, it makes me forget that I'm watching something made by the creator of Hey Arnold until Billy and Toad, the two kids. I'm like, okay, they look like Hey Arnold kids, you know, they look like just young kids. I think maybe because he did a show where he was just like drawing weird kids, he was like, I want to do one where I just draw hot people. So he just made like
hot
and they're
adults,
all like well proportioned, you know, hot people. The only one that is obviously isn't is Bumpy, the old man. But hey, some people might be into that.
Yeah. It gets like I love like every single scene where like Lewis is shirtless again and he's like glistening as he's fixing the wagon. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like it's equal opportunity. These are some hot, sexy late 20s people that you want to see in this. I'm like, who is this for?
Yeah. And like we said with Ornery Sue, like she's not like conventionally attractive in the same way that Jill is, but instead she has that like Irish Catholic, you know, farmer's daughter sort of look to her. So she's, you know, that people are into that.
Me.
Yeah. Also, Josh Hutcherson is Toad.
Yes,
like
I've been talking. Shout out Josh Hutcherson for being in this because he really do be acting, and it's funny to hear him like as a kid here because I don't know, he's been such like a meme recently because he's just like, yeah, I'm in Five Nights at Freddy, yeah, I'm making a weird face in this thing. I'm like, oh, I forgot, he's been like doing this acting thing for fucking ever. Like he's just always been doing this. Because, like, what is he, like, he's, like, 30 now, and, like, this is, like, what, 20 years ago? He's, like, fucking 10, just like, yeah, I'll be a little kid, hi.
Yeah, because it was 1992, so he's probably, like, 12. You know, oh, yeah, he was the kid in Bridge to Terabithia. I'm just...
oh, yeah, he sure is a kid. He watched the other kid drown. Oh, shit, this nigga's is Zathora. Remember the space Jumanji?
Yeah.
Zathora?
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
Good
Fuck
stuff.
it. Guys, Cartoon Buffoons canceled. We're doing the Josh Hutcherson experience.
Yeah,
We're going to watch everything Josh Hutcherson was in.
A bunch of random mid-2000s movies that we watch. So.
We got to rate Josh Hutcherson in this. I'm feeling a strong 8.
Yeah.
For Josh Hutcherson in this promotion.
But,
oh, man.
But yeah, so we haven't really talked about the plot. It basically is, they're on the Oregon Trail for, all their own reasons. They eventually meet like a runaway bandit named Three-Eyed Jack who they're about to die, and he reveals his secret that he has a diamond mine called El Glitterado, and they eventually get the map from him thinking that he's dead, and then they separate the map and then decide to basically share equity in this like diamond mine, and all team up together and become a party wagon. And then they're following this group of devout Mormons, I guess, as they're traveling away from the sinful East into the pure, uncut West. I do love that. Again, not to say I enjoy Western expansionism or Manifest Destiny, but the fact that the angel of Manifest Destiny comes down and speaks to like that wagon head and gets him to go to Seattle is very funny. Like
it almost feels like it feels like the movie's taking the piss out of Manifest Destiny a lot of times.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this doesn't it's not as critical as something like Blood Meridian, which I quoted at the top of the episode. It's not saying that like it's not talking about the like absolutely ruthless level of violence that was like inflicted on people, but like it is critical of it in a way that you wouldn't see from kids shows, which are usually like uncritical of it. They usually are talking about like, this town was founded at this time by this guy and it's all good, especially, kids shows usually just get around that and they're just like, yeah, it was a long time ago, who cares? Whereas like this does have some element of like, yeah, these people are just like making their way. They're not like directly getting into conflict, but they aren't necessarily going into this whole prospect with the best intentions, especially the caravan is like, they are this very tight conservative Christian sort of coalition that will see sin in anything. So it's like they're just hinting at the possibility that no matter where they go, they will find something wrong with it, basically. And that's like, again, it's not like touching on it too hard, but it is. But
like, it's there. Like if someone was like interested, they would see that like this thing is a little critical,
Yeah. That's the basic premise of it. You have the different characters. You have Randall, who, like, he ran away from a marriage, and he's, just kind of a guy who's used to society as a sensitive writer type. He's probably very similar to some of the Hollywood artist soft boys like Craig Bartlett himself. And, he ends up becoming a part of this. I do like his arc of, starting off and he sucks, and then, slowly he gets better.
He gets used to toughen it. Yeah. He gets better at toughen it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's, a good arc. And, again, that's why, by the end, I feel like I'm pretty satisfied by where his character goes and the fact that he's, proven himself to the rest of the people. When it gets to the end and they find the diamonds and they realize that it was a diamond heist and that this is just a hideout, he's like, we should return them, which is kind of a narc thing to do.
Yeah. Come on, dude. Robbing a thief is not robbing. It cancels each other out. That's nothing, dude.
Absolutely, yeah.
Don't be a pussy.
But I do like, story-wise, the fact that You know, first of all, a lot of guns and a lot of guns being pointed
Lot
at
of
people.
guns and also like implied murder and death.
Yeah.
Like there's like a lot of hey, I thought you drowned. No, I don't remember drowning and dying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's a good joke, but fuck.
Yeah. But you know, so like
there is the running joke that like the whole thing that keeps going. He like this, guys. You think Three Eyed Jack is alive? And this, no, he died and drowned in the river. And they keep coming back to like he has a nightmare. Bumpy has a nightmare like, oh, I think he's alive. I think he's alive. No, he died horribly. And I'm like, fuck, okay, guys.
And so you're just screaming and cussing in the middle of the night. But the fact that like even he is like, all right, we'll return this. I don't know when I got a conscience. You know, like that's like a great, you know, end to his character and everything. The fact that even like Randall gets toughened by being with this group, and then they get softened by being with him.
It's really nice.
So it's a nice reciprocal thing. I think the moment that made me realize this was going to be really good, or that I would really enjoy it at least, was very early on when they like start playing impromptu music. You know, like Bumpy is like scrubbing something, and then they're like they start like just all playing music together, like one by one, off of, you know, whatever they have around. And that's like the first time that they kind of acknowledge that they're like truly a group. And even like, again, Ornery Sue is sort of a very like tight-lipped, standoffish lady, but like her getting into the fun is just like, yeah, that like warms your heart. You know, it's a good.
It's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good.
I think my first, like the opener, when the opener happened, we see Randall running from his marriage and like sending a letter to his aunt on the train and all the like the lies about what he's doing. I'm like, okay, this is about to be fun. I'm like, oh yeah, having this is a very fun sequence to open this up with. I'm very excited. I'm very excited.
So I should say that like, because this is like an hour and 10 minutes, it's basically like what, like 6 11-minute episodes kind of like strewn together. Because there's a few like commercial breaks or whatever that would happen throughout, or like act breaks that would happen throughout, and it ends up feeling very similar to something like Over the Garden Wall, which we'll cover.
It does,
like way later on, probably next Halloween or something. We'll be at that point, but it ends up feeling like one of those like later Cartoon Network miniseries, like Over the Garden Wall or like Infinity Train, where it is one continuous story, but every like 10 to 15 minutes, there's a new like episode essentially of it, which is why I was like totally fine with the fact that this is all we got, because it feels like a completed story in a lot of ways, even if there's some things about it that I feel like they could have gone farther with, but otherwise, like, you know, I think that the open nature of the ending is also a strength for it.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like probably not now, but there was definitely a point where this could have been brought into rotation, like Over the Garden Wall would have been.
Yeah.
Not now, though. Not now.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need an Oregon Trail thing. I enjoyed this. This is fun. I don't know if we need an Oregon Trail thing going on. Well, maybe, because all the Republicans are trying to stop schools from talking about all the dark history of America.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit.
Yeah. That is another thing, is that in the time period since, you know, I mean, there's been a lot of media about like the West, the Old West, and you know, the effects of that, and yada yada yada. And we're not going to get too into the weeds, I guess, on that. But you know, I feel like stuff like Red Dead Redemption, you know, sort of like being very popular, kind of colors our perception of that whole time period. And then even stuff that's like not specifically in the Old West, but tackles the effects of it, like Killers of the Flower Moon. Like being like coming out recently and stuff like that. I don't know. And then of course, like there was a bit of a resurgence where a bunch of YouTubers were like, "Have you guys read this Blood Meridian book?" You know, and like that pretty fucked up book. But, you know, so I don't know. Like obviously, I'm not going to put the sins of everything onto this cartoon that's just supposed to be like an event. I like the fact that it is like set in this time period, because I really like this time period from like a a humanistic standpoint. Just
the way things were, like it was very much a moment in time. Like there's a reason why people like cowboys so much. There's like a very much a moment of time in America that will just never be like that again. Like it's like the change between like everyone's far apart, no one's interacting, to like our now constant cudgel of capitalism and the government. But there was a middle ground there, and it was this, and it was fucking interesting that people were allowed to like, you could just fucking leave and go somewhere and hopefully get something better in America, because America's big as shit. Like,
and it was like, there's so many reasons why everything went wrong, that it's like hard to pin it down on one thing.
I would say maybe white people should have stopped going places they don't have no fucking business going. Maybe, hey, there's no one living here. There's a lot of people living here. They're native to this area. I'm ignoring you. Here's us killing 1 billion buffalo because we can. What's wrong with you? Like,
just absolutely disgusting. Just like
they also referenced that in this goddamn cartoon. They referenced the destruction of buffalo. I'm like, what the fuck? Bison, sorry.
Yeah, it is such a known quantity and such a like, again, like a disgusting part of that whole thing. Just like everything, like all of the land was destroyed. Like it wasn't just like nature and animals, but like people and everything. Like all of that stuff was just like destroyed. And obviously that the Native Americans weren't like wiped out or anything, but they were put into these reservations and things like that. Like a lot of really fucked up things that have happened, and again that have like gone on for like over 100 years at this point and continue to this day, and people are able to like kind of forget about it and pretend it's just the past, because they're like, well, when I think of Native Americans, I think of like the 1800s. They don't think about the fact that there's like still millions
like there's
living
people like
in
that
America
exist,
now.
You piece of shit.
That
who are still treated badly by the government. You know what? Cartoon Buffoons are entering to the political state. Let's put it this way.
Sorry,
the
guys.
whitewashing of American history is bad. As hell. Fuck that.
So, but but I'm not gonna say that this is whitewashing, even though it kind of is.
No. This is definitely a cartoon of the time period. Like this, it's 2004. Like this show seems like vaguely aware of it. I think that this is a neat thing that you should watch, but I do understand not putting it out anymore. Like we live in a different world. Like I think like it's not censoring, it's not anything like that. But we live in a different world. This thing is available to watch on YouTube very easily. Watch it. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's not.
I think
it's not lost media or anything. Yeah.
No, like Craig Bartlett as a creator has always been aware of the issues that happen in America. Like there's a bunch of that shit in Hey Arnold about like racism and like immigration and stuff like that, and like the issues that exist in America. So I think if there's anyone I'm going to trust to like have an idea of it, it's him. I just think there is very much I think this would be cool to put into the rotation cycle for like holiday movies or like around the time period movies, just like over the garden wall. But also, I understand why they don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's fine. I think that it's fine being where it is. I hope that we can bring more attention to it by doing this podcast, because again, I did really enjoy it, and I think that I would love to see just more stuff by Craig Bartlett in general. The fact that Hey Arnold is kind of his only big thing, and then he made like the finale movie recently, like 5 or 6 years ago, and nobody really cared about that, unfortunately. It's just like, that's a little bit sad, and I do hope that he is able to do some work. Right now it seems like he's just sort of working on like Dinosaur Train and like things like these kind of preschool shows.
And honestly, get that cash if that's what you want to do, bro. Like
I have no problem, especially like older animators that didn't like basically anybody who isn't Gendy, who just has a fucking blank check to do whatever the hell he wants, for some reason.
Side note, I just realized who the fuck Craig Bartlett's brother-in-law is fucking Matt Groening from like The Simpsons and Futurama fame. What the fuck? Yeah. Oh wait, what do you mean? Wait, who is his wife? I'm like, who's Craig Bartlett's wife? I'm like, oh, it's Lisa, who is the sister of Matt, who made Simpsons, Futurama. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Wait, that means that he is married to the titular Lisa. Craig Bartlett is Milhouse.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my God, he's Milhouse.
Yeah. And that's why Pamela Hayden is Salinity Joe in this.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
But anyway. Yeah, I wish he had more, but it's fine.
It's just it's just, I feel like if we had more, the episode would be the length of the movie, which is something that I fucking hate. Yeah. And I think you guys should just go watch it, dude. It's really good. Yeah. It's like, I had it on last night when the Monster Hunter beta went down and I had to cry. So I just had something to watch because I couldn't play my favorite video game of all time. So
that it hasn't come out yet.
It hasn't come out yet. That has not come out. Why? Look. If you can be weird about Metroid, I can be weird about Monster Hunter. It's our relationship.
No, Metroid Prime 4 will definitely be the greatest game of all time. I'm
sure behind Monster Hunter Wilds, which will be the greatest game of all time.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, I think that's probably all we have to say about it. Maybe cutting it a little bit short, but
honestly, we've had some long ones recently, so
yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. Oh yeah, the Kids Next Door episode. Not to put anybody on blast, but that was like a really long episode, and then the guest ended up having like an issue where there was no headphones plugged in, so it recorded our audio as well. So I had to like edit around that. So I had to basically listen to the whole episode to edit it. Now I know you should do that when you're editing a podcast, but I just am like,
I don't want to.
We're good enough that I figure I can just slap the two audio files on together, sync them up, put on the ending and opening and ending theme, and then render it and then put it up on Patreon, and we're fine.
Listen, brother, when y'all start giving us thousands of dollars, Wyatt will then listen to every episode we're getting it in.
Yeah, I promise I'll become a good editor once we get like $200 or something on Patreon.
We'll hire Casey Pony, dude.
Yeah, we'll get him to put his Neoscum magic into this. It'll be good. But anyway,
Yeah,
go ahead.
No. I'm like, I said Casey Pony because they call him that as a joke. It's Casey Tony. Why did I call him Pony? Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But anyway, Morgan, where can we find you on this wide internet?
All right, guys. Bit times will be a little short today, because I got stuff to do today. So you can find me at Girl Next Vor on Tumblr. Also over on Blue Sky. However, we are doing a violent uprising on Blue Sky that will use a lot of revolvers and other such. We will burn it down and drag it behind a wagon. But I'm still there at Girl Next Door. You can also find me on Twitter, but it is a secret. You got to find the treasure map. You got to put all the pieces together, and you'll find me over there in Seattle. And then you'll see all my posts where I talk about literally nothing. I mostly just post art or talk shit, usually about wrestling or something fucking stupid.
That's good.
What about you, Wyatt? Where can we find you?
I'm over there on Twitter, Wasp Ranger, WACP Ranger. Mostly just stream of consciousness stuff, but I do talk about this podcast when it comes out, new videos whenever they come out for both of my channels. My main channel, It's Only Magic, which you might be listening to this on. If you are, thank you. If you want to donate $5, and you can listen to the Megas XLR episode right now, if you're on YouTube. If you're listening to this on the Patreon already, thank you for those $5. Big thumbs up, really helps. If you want to understand what the value of donating at the Patreon is, you get this a week early. You get my videos whenever I make them a week early for both channels. So Planet Zebaz, my other channel, which is just me going through Metroid-related topics. Those are a week early as well. I'm sure very small sliver of the audience that's listening to this cares about that. But I just decided to make a separate channel for that, just so that I'm not like
flooding it with metric. I feel
flooding it
like
with
there has
crap
to be
that people
some.
don't care that much about, that I care and potentially other people could care about.
Whenever Nintendo makes their Metroid animated movie, like the Mario one, we'll be able to post it on both channels. And it's gonna fucking rule.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, go check that out. If you only got $1, that's fine. You can check out Wow Cool Robot, me and my friend Wayne, aka Bolt Creature, on Twitter. Go through and review every single robot in existence. We just passed like 100 robots. That's a lot of robots. Go check that out. It's usually a couple times a week. Sometimes there's off weeks or whatever because of recording troubles, but most of the time it's a couple times a week. But either way, thank you so much for listening. This was Party Wagon. It was a good time. I'm glad that we did it. This is kind of like a pilot pile-up, but just for one thing. But I think I'm just going to treat it as its own
episode. Yeah, I feel like people are more likely to watch it if we not watch the actual thing if we have it like this instead of throwing it in a pilot pile-up.
Yeah.
Also, it's long, so.
Yes. And yeah, so we 2 weeks in a row we've done sort of like a mini series and then something that's kind of like adjacent to a mini series. It is like technically a movie, but it feels very mini series-esque. So, with Clone Wars last time and then now with this. We're going to do a normal show next. Still a very short-lived show, unfortunately, but a normal show.
But one of the most iconic ones of all fucking time.
Yeah, and we'll get to talk all about that next week. We'll be talking about Megas XLR.
Chicks dig giant robots.
Nice. All right, peace out.
Later, everybody.